to a very special episode of The Professors.
Very special.
Very special. I'm here with Aaron.
Hello.
And we are, my name is also Garrett, and we are going to discuss The Walking Dead, Rick Grimes' last episode. Now, we have just finished watching it. We have lots of things to say, starting with, this might have been the best hour of television I've seen in 2018.
This is definitely I think the best episode of this show in a while.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of another episode recently that was as good as this. I think maybe the only thing that could come close, to me personally, I know a lot of people hated it, but for me personally, I think the only episodes that come close to this was when Negan had the group kneeling in that clearing when he went and killed Abraham and Glenn. I think that was spoilers. I think that was a great episode personally, but this topped that. Absolutely.
So let's start from the beginning of the episode. It starts off where we ended last episode with Rick having a rebar.
Yes, he was bucked off of a horse onto a piece of rebar stuck into concrete.
And there's a horde, I think one of the biggest hordes we've seen, possibly the biggest.
They've been tracking this horde, as far as we know, this whole season. They've been trying to work around it and move it around so it stays out of their way.
Oh, so that's that one?
Yes,
I thought they killed it.
No, they didn't
kill it all.
They
the logs.
No, they didn't kill it all with the logs. That was just a group of it. But that horde that they've been fighting off chased Daryl and Rick took them and was bucked off a horse on a piece of rebar, and that's where we ended last episode.
Mm-hmm. And then so Rick takes his belt off, and he uses his belt to lift himself off the rebar over another one. Are you playing the... Yeah. And so he's able to get off that, but he's bleeding tremendously.
Very badly. Very, very bad bleeding.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to take the next bit?
No, you can keep going. You can keep going.
So he gets on the horse and he starts riding, and then it cuts to him in the very beginning of the series, with Rick in his hospital bed, and that's going on. And there's a discussion. There's so much that happens in this episode.
There's a lot, and it's awesome.
Dang. This is not listenable. It's gotta be. So, he has a discussion with himself, and every flashback, or not flashback so much as every time it cuts to something else, it always ends with "you need to wake up," which is really his brain telling him that he needs to survive, and then he wakes up from whatever slumber or drifting off into...
Yeah, it keeps flashing back to notable scenes in the show from the past. It flashes back to him in the original hospital room where he woke up. It goes back to him and Shane looking at the crash where Rick got shot in the very first episode. It goes back to Rick and Herschel in Herschel's hayloft.
Which that was totally green screened.
Oh yeah, very much. Very much green screen.
That was a fake ass green screen.
And then the very, very weird, not really flashback, but just scene, talking to Sasha surrounded by an endless void of dead bodies. Very weird. But very surreal, but very, very well done.
And then, so, through the entire episode, he's traversing through places. And then the best scene, in my opinion, was not even having Rick on it.
Oh, absolutely.
It was
not.
between Michonne and Maggie.
Yeah.
Don't ask me names on the show. Michonne and Maggie have.
So we left off last episode. Maggie was going to Alexandria to kill Negan. When she gets to the door where Negan is kept, Michonne tries to stop her, and they have a very, very well done
discussion towards everything.
Yes, a very, very well done discussion about why or why not Maggie should do this.
And then Michonne gives Maggie the keys because she understands that Maggie needs this to get over Glenn's death.
Yeah.
Because that's really what's been driving her, and every decision she's made is how would Glenn want this, or how can I give the people that are following me the future that Glenn can't have. And she believes that killing Negan because he killed Glenn is what needs to happen. But
yes,
she walks in, and the entire time she's realizing she doesn't need to do that. She doesn't kill Negan.
Negan is being typical Negan and trying to get in Maggie's head and twist her actions. And he kind of
gets so close to doing it.
He gets so close to making Maggie not kill him. But in the end, after a very tense scene between the two of them, Maggie decides that after Negan begs for her to kill him because he wants to be back with his wife, which is dead.
Who is dead?
Who is dead. Maggie decides that the real Negan is beyond dead and sitting in that cell.
Is an empty shell of her.
It's an empty shell of himself, and he is not. Killing him is not going to save anything because the Negan that killed Glenn is no longer the man sitting in that cell. So.
That was very important.
And immediately after that was a very well shot scene, very well designed scene of Maggie walking out of that room and confronting Michonne.
And they just look at each other.
They stare at each other in silence, and before either one has a chance to say anything, they are interrupted by somebody.
Saying that there's a problem at the camp.
The camp where they were building the bridge over the lake.
Spoilers.
Spoilers, yes.
So then we have Rick, who's still bleeding out. What is January? Sorry, we have also NBC on at the same time. Usual us. Ooh.
Focus. As I'm also staring at it, mesmerized.
Oh, that's gonna be really good. Anyways, so Rick has made it to the camp, and he sees that something has happened at the camp, which in the previous episode, there was something that happened.
There was almost a shootout at the camp.
There was a shootout.
There was not a shootout at the camp. They
No?
did not. They decided not to. They were able to. Carol was able to defuse the situation.
Then what happened? Why were people walkers there?
I don't know. It's not. They didn't explain or give a reason for why everyone at the camp was walkers, but everyone at the camp was walkers. And Rick tried to. He killed off a few of them, but there's just so many walkers in this fort.
Expert marksmanship.
He's standing there.
He's
kneeling there with a hole in his stomach.
2 holes.
2 holes,
se.
an entrance
Front.
and an exit wound in his stomach. He's been bleeding out for the majority of the day.
The entire episode
Yes.
should be dead.
Oh, he's
so much longer.
should be very dead.
There's still enough blood to where he gets up after that because he realizes that the horde has reached the camp and they're just breaking everything down. He gets up and he's walking towards the bridge because that's his next idea, is that he can make the bridge collapse.
Because
And
last episode,
dripping blood.
Last episode, Eugene told Rick that the bridge would collapse under a great deal of stress. The kind of stress that would be brought upon by a horde this large. So Rick remembers that and decides to lead the horde across said bridge so it would collapse.
Was that the plan from last episode when he was
Yes.
talking with Daryl?
With Daryl, no. Before this point, Rick had no intentions of actually collapsing the bridge. He told Eugene that it would hold up. There'd be no issues. He's not going to sacrifice the bridge to get rid of this horde. They'll figure out another way to do it.
Okay, so that wasn't the initial plan.
Yes. So he does that. He's stumbling across the bridge, and he realizes he gets to the other side, and he realizes that this bridge is very strong. Shush, James White is hurt. He left the game. He realizes that the bridge is going to hold up. It's not going to collapse under the walkers. And he's about to be bit. Oh, there's also, we can't forget this. The walkers are coming up on him. He's about to be eaten. And
It does another one of everyone shows up running across the bridge.
Yes.
And then they start killing the horde. And the way this scene is shot, it is very in reality. The way they make it seem like the moment before they show up, which you see the bridge the moment before they show up, it cuts to Rick, and then everyone shows up the bridge very badly. You should know it's fake. But the way it's shot, you don't.
Every main character shows up running in a line to just attack this horde and save Rick.
And then you get your Michonne saying goodbye to Rick, but not really.
You need to wake up.
You need to wake up. Oh my god. And he's like, this is fake. And she's like, no, it's not. Then kisses him. And then she says, all you need to do is wake up. Or whatever the fuck.
I was very much
People keep
expecting
saying.
that to be the moment he dies. Like, she leans in for the kiss, and then it flashes, and it's actually a walker right up in his face.
Mm-hmm.
I was waiting for that to happen.
So then he wakes up again, and then he gets up to start walking across the bridge. And he makes it across, and then he realizes once the horde is on it, or some of the horde, the way it's shot is a lot of the times you just get a couple stragglers ahead, but then you had the horde on the bridge.
Yeah, there's probably about 10 walkers or so that are just out in front.
But you
Not
have
in a
the
group.
horde on the bridge,
Yes.
the wood part, and he realizes it won't go down. But then, like, Daryl saves the day and shoots the one that's right in front of
Daryl
Rick that almost eats him.
Across the river, and very far down, as far as elevation, is able to snipe a walker with his crossbow that's about
to eat Rick. I thought that was how Rick was going to
Oh,
go.
yeah. I thought he was just going to stop right there.
Mm-hmm.
But Daryl shoots a couple walkers so they don't get to him. Rick kills a couple with his axe. Or he kills one, I think.
He kills 2.
Yeah, he kills 2 with his axe. Daryl kills, I think, 3 or 4 with arrows.
But when the moment after Daryl shoots the arrow, none of the walkers that were on the bridge, wood part that should have fallen, were then at the beginning of where that wood part was. The filming was off right there.
Yeah, the timing was off. But,
Not so much the timing as just the editing between multiple takes.
yeah. But the whole group is there where Daryl is, and they're trying to... They're like, okay, let's start shooting our guns. We need to get this horde away from Rick. He's
Were they
hurt.
even shooting the guns? I didn't hear any guns.
I didn't hear any guns, but Carol's like, you need to shoot your guns, try to draw this horde away. And they start running up to try and kill them. Or Michonne does.
Sean's got speed. Okoye has speed.
Yes, she is very fast, but not fast enough. Because...
It's almost she had her bow stat.
Yes.
Her
One of the walkers knocks a container over that was on the bridge.
And you see that it's dynamite.
It's full of dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
And Rick,
it keeps cutting back to it maybe 2 more times.
Yeah, it does absolutely nothing with the dynamite for a solid minute and a half. Mm-hmm. It just keeps flashing towards it and then going away, and flashing towards it and going away.
With the cuts in between being of Rick, of Daryl shooting things down, of Michonne running through the woods and looking at the horde of walkers that's walking
mm-hmm.
by. I do not see how she can see Rick on the bridge since she can barely see the ridge above.
Mm-hmm.
So that doesn't make sense the way that was cut together. But
yeah, they had a horrible vantage point on Rick because they were below him and right at the base of the bridge. But Rick,
wanting to go out in a blaze of glory, pulls
or
out
in a way that nobody else has to get involved in a fight.
Yeah. He doesn't want everyone to try and get the walkers because there's way too many of them.
And he doesn't want to do it for him.
So he pulls out his revolver and shoots the dynamite, and it explodes in a giant CGI explosion. And it just all the walkers are just...
Was that CGI? That looked pretty real.
It may have been real. It looked pretty good. It was much better than this CDC explosion in season 1.
That's because that's too big to do.
Yeah.
I think that was small scale enough.
Yeah, they actually had TNT and they're like 3, 2, 1, boom, record this. But,
yeah. And then you superimpose walkers then and there.
Yeah, but...
And then the water.
You see a waterfall of walkers falling into the lake, or into the river, because the bridge is broken now. Mm-hmm. Oh, White's back. Awesome. The bridge is gone. They assume Rick is gone, because everyone's staring at this explosion. They're like, Rick just blew himself up to take out all these walkers.
Mm-hmm. Then...
Everyone walks away also. Well, first of all, it gets
Michonne's
super intense and emotional and sad and completely silent, and it cuts straight to commercial.
Well, not straight to commercial.
Well, there was not enough time.
You get Daryl having some tears, and then I think in the same single shot of Daryl, it's a close-up on his face. He's crying.
Yes.
And then he'll turn. Please don't be White. I got that.
No, that's Cordero Patterson.
Good. And then he turns away, and then he walks off into the distance. And I think that's all it takes. That's what it goes to commercial.
Yeah. It was not enough time.
Not enough time for the audience to process it. Which, with how the rest of the episode goes, makes sense. So we come back from commercial, and it's Jadis, same thing.
At the beginning of the episode, Jadis broke down in an RV on the side of the road, and she's trying to rendezvous with her helicopter people to go wherever they want to take her. So we come back after that commercial break,
and she's hearing over the walkie-talkie the explosion. She sees the explosion in the distance, and
hears over the walkie-talkie that Rick blew up the bridge, Rick killed the horde, Rick killed himself, all this stuff.
And then you see the helicopter appear in the distance.
The helicopter starts coming in.
And she looks to the river, which she's miraculously next to.
Yes.
And who of all people comes out of the river onto the side of the creek? Fucking Rick.
Just laying there. Perfectly fine in one piece.
So, she was lying to the helicopter people in the episode, saying she had an A, which she didn't. She had nothing, because she left... I want to say Morgan, but it's not Morgan.
It's not Morgan.
It's the priest.
Father Gabriel. She left him in the junkyard.
We didn't see him at all this episode.
No, we didn't. But... So, she tells them she has a B.
Which I think a B is an injured person.
Probably.
And an A is a full healthy person.
I feel like Rick, fully healthy, more than qualifies as an A.
Yes. So, then why was Gabriel shouldn't have been an A.
Gabriel should not have been an A.
He should have been a B because of his eye.
I think she was lying the whole time about having an A. She just knew if she said she had an A, they would show up.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway.
And then she convinces them to touch down, and then she takes Rick on the thing, and they leave. And that's apparently the end of Rick Grimes.
It's him flying away with Jadis in a helicopter.
That's the end of the episode. Mm-hmm. Well, not the end of the episode. It's the end of Rick.
Well, this is the end of the episode.
No, we had a next scene.
Well, yeah, but that's scenes from the next 3 episodes.
Well, no, we had another scene.
Did we? What was it?
Yeah, we had the new characters.
I thought that was still the jump forward. Oh no, that's right.
That's the jump forward, but it's in episode. That was our cliffhanger.
Yes, I see. I'm trying to record something. We're almost done.
Now I gotta edit this. I'm just kidding.
Fun. Leave that in.
Yeah. That was Taylor, by the way. Taylor says hi.
Mm-hmm.
And,
so the time, it shows that time passes. It stays on that same shot where the helicopter disappeared. It shows all the plants have grown, all the grass has grown, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And then you see 5 new characters, which in the season trailer, you see that has happened. And, you see that they're going to be new characters and everything. And there's going to be a lot of stuff to do with them. I don't know if they come from the comics. They probably will be.
Probably.
And they're surrounded by a horde of walkers that they're trying to do well by, but then they get surrounded. And then there's some gunshots. And that takes maybe 10 walkers out. Mm-hmm. And then you hear a little girl voice, "Come on!" or something like that. Maybe, I don't know. So then they run through it, and then they get to the woods where they see this little girl who has 3 things.
3 very important things.
Michonne's katana, Rick's pistol, sidearm thing.
His revolver.
Is it his revolver?
It is his revolver.
Okay, and then Carl's hat. And it ends up being Judith.
She introduces herself as Judith Grimes.
She was what, 9, 10?
Yeah, she looked quite old.
And then that's where the episode ends. She says she's Judith Grimes. And then it cuts to the scenes for the next episodes.
Do we want to talk about that?
I think we should talk about...
Because I want to talk about that. Because I feel...
Let's talk about first what this means for Rick. How this episode completed his narrative arc. Whether or not it did succeed in that sense or not. He learned that he didn't need to find his dead family. Because that, I think, was his whole thing, of that he wanted to be with Lori and Carl. Coral. And that, that is what his want for this episode was. And then at the end, he realizes that the people he's with are his family, which is very basic storytelling.
Oh, yeah.
But works for the character of Rick. And I guess that works for a series arc. Is that with how everyone has died, Rick has always felt alone in everything.
Yeah, as soon as Carl left, Lori was gone, and he kind of felt really down because all he had was Carl, and then Carl left, and it's like, I have nothing else to hold on to in this world except for Judith, who's not even his daughter. Spoilers.
That's changed. And then...
And that was addressed this episode, which is hilarious.
But Rick already knew.
Well, Rick already knew, yes, but it was just funny that they had a conversation about Judith having Shane's eyes.
Yeah. And then, So, and then we lost Carl, and then recently, all of his people that he could trust have been against him. They've been turning against him.
Maggie turned against him. Daryl
Not
started...
really.
Well, no.
What I thought was going to happen didn't happen. I thought there was going to be like another war between like Maggie, Daryl, and Rick.
Yeah, I thought so
Maggie
too.
and Daryl against Rick.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Which didn't happen, and that was very good.
Mm-hmm.
But I think this is a very good way to write off Rick, though I think he's just going to step off the show
For a while.
and they have to bring him back.
There's no way they're going to make it seem like they're going to heal him and then he just doesn't show up again. The helicopter people has to be a completed story. Especially now that we've seen even more of them. They can't just stop talking about them just because Jadis is gone.
Mm-hmm. One overthrown football.
Yeah, that was also a little bit pass interference because that was pushing.
So
Could have run that route faster.
And then in the scenes for the next three, we're getting that much in 3 episodes.
That's a lot. In 3
One
episodes.
will be. Both of them are going to be regular hour-long episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And then usually it ends with an hour and a half episode. We're getting a lot. And what's happening is the zombie walkers have evolved. They show a scene of them, of one of them talking, "Where are they?" for 2 characters that cover themselves up in mud, which is going to be very scary.
Yes. And they also showed a scene of a horde of walkers just walking in a circle in the middle of a field. But that reminded me of something that I had seen.
Do you think? Can I theorize?
Yes.
One quickly. Are the helicopter people using the A's and B's that they get for experiments, and one of those experiments has gone rogue and is causing the evolution of the walkers?
It's a very good theory. And I'm not saying you're wrong, because I don't know if I'm probably not right. But I have not read the comics. I've not read any comics. I've not read a word of them.
Dude,
But I need to. There's one thing in the comics that I remember hearing about because I watched the video on it. There's these people, a group of people, I believe they're called the Whisperers.
Are those people that have the W on their heads?
No, those are the wolves.
Oh.
The Whisperers are a very advanced group of people. And they dress themselves in the skins of walkers. So they look like walkers, but they're actually real people. They have like their whole own portion of the comics devoted to just them.
I feel like we've gone through that though. I'm very confused. But I'm sure they'll talk about that. I
feel like that because
which was what they need to do. They need to go back to the comics.
There's a lot in the comics
where the story is,
and there's still major plots in the comics that they've not touched on the show
which
yet.
they can't do a lot because a lot of them revolve around Rick and Carl. Carl is still alive in the comics.
Oh, Carl is
to date.
Carl prospers in the comics,
and Rick is still alive, I think, but in like the 5th or 6th volume, I think it's 5. I think I have 1 through 5. He loses his either left or right hand due to, I want to say the governor, but it's not the governor. It's in the prison when they go back. I don't remember, but he loses one of his hands, and then I think they attach an axe to it. I don't remember.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
It's stupid. The comics are so gory.
But yeah, I personally think that these intelligent walkers aren't actually walkers.
They're people?
They're people dressed as walkers.
Why would they just walk in a circle then?
I don't know. I think they might want to try. I think they're trying to resemble walkers, but they're also not. Like they're trying to resemble walkers, but they're also trying to get the point across that they are people and they're intelligent and they're trying to plan something. I feel like that's a direction that they're trying to go.
Is to bring, because that's that's a huge portion of the comics is the Whisperers. I believe they're called the Whisperers. And there is one Whisperer who is a very major character. I forget his name. His name's like A or B or something stupid like that. But I feel like that could also have a tie a role into the helicopter people.
I need to learn about the helicopter people.
Yeah,
we're gonna either. I can't. They can't say Judith Grimes' last episode.
No.
Because they have to. They can't say it. But maybe that's his last episode for a while.
Yeah, because they technically they never said.
Oh! Ow! I'm sorry. We just saw that dude break his ankle.
Oh, that hurts my ankles. But. Yeah, I feel I feel like because they never said Rick Grimes is gonna die. They always
said last episode, but why would they say he died? That would ruin any tension in the episode whatsoever.
They never said he died, so he might just be leaving. He might not come back as Rick. Is what they might do. Something could happen with the helicopter people. He might be given a new identity by the helicopter people.
Maybe.
And then he's not Rick Grimes, but it's still him.
Yes. Well, that seems about everything we can talk about. I could still maybe talk for hours more.
Oh, I can keep talking all night.
But
I'm not going to.
No. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you very much.
To this episode, if you did. If you have any comments, or tell us your thoughts about the episode. What did you think about it? What do you think those evolved walkers are? Let us know.
Yes, I want to know more about those.
And then
I also want to know how Rick survived a pretty much point blank TNT blast and still managed to fall in the river.
Maybe. No, he was off the bridge.
He was off the bridge, but he still managed in the river. So he somehow blew up, then crawled and fell into the water with the walkers.
I don't know anymore.
I don't know. Whatever.
But
he just got blown all the way over there.
So
yes.
What have I already said? Like and subscribe, and look out for more videos to come. Thank you.
Bye.